Hello Cavaliers, my name is Nick Moreno and this is Campus Talk. With me today is Kansas State Senator Molly Bumgarner. Thank you so much for being with me today.
It's my pleasure.
And today I have a few questions for you. We're going to start with, when were you first interested in politics?
Well, the first time I worked on a campaign, I was in grade school, and the people in Johnson County thought that they wanted to start a community college. And so I rode around in the car with my dad as he put up campaign signs for the bond referendum to start Johnson County Community College.
Okay, that's awesome. So what was your first position that you ever wanted to acquire as a politician?
Well, I was in my 20s, and I had attended some board meetings here at Johnson County because I was an adjunct professor at the time. And one of the things I noticed is any issue that came up at their board meetings, it was a 6-0 vote. There was very little discussion. And I thought, if you're going to pass a multi-million-dollar budget, there should at least be a little bit of talk. If you're going to raise taxes, there should be some talk about that. And so I put down my $5 and I ran, and there were 16 candidates for 3 positions, and I ended up getting my seat.
Okay, that's awesome. So that transgressed eventually. You must have progressed in politics somehow, and you ended up as the state senator for the Lewisburg district, correct?
Well, it's the 37th Senate District. There are 40 senators in the state of Kansas, and so my Senate district is actually southern Johnson County and northern Miami County. So I go from the state line all the way over to Gardner-Edgerton.
Okay, and what was campaigning out there like?
Well, it's a pretty busy process because I have 8 school districts in my Senate district, to show you how large it is.
Okay.
And I have about 75,000 constituents, and so it's a matter of going to public forums, going door to door, organizing and approving mailers to go out, and then also getting out those yard signs. So.
Is there any type of debate cycle or anything like that?
Oh,
out there?
definitely.
Yeah.
There were debates for the primary and debates for the general election, and you don't know what questions are going to come up, but that's real life. Right now in each legislative session, we start having legislative coffees on Saturday morning. You got to show up at 6:30 because that's when people are there ready to ask questions. So you don't know what questions they're going to ask, but the real role of a legislator is to serve their constituents. And so I like going out and meeting with folks. In fact, just this last week, I met with the faculty organization for the Blue Valley School District, and they had some questions about what's going to happen with school funding. So.
Okay. Do you have any bills that you're working on currently that you're excited about, ready to get going on?
Well, I have one bill that I actually authored and sponsored, and it's going to be signed on May 1st by the governor, and it's kind of near and dear to my heart. I've worked a lot with mental health care issues, and it is creating a scholarship for students that want to become nurses and specifically want to nurse in mental health care. And so you can go to any nursing program in the state of Kansas, and this scholarship is going to pay 70% of your tuition. And for however many years that you earn that scholarship, you will serve that many years in mental health nursing once you graduate. So I'm very excited about that. I think it's a great opportunity for nursing students.
Yeah, I imagine there wasn't a really big monetary push from the Kansas government before for those type of students, were there?
Well, actually there was a scholarship set up, and yet it wasn't being used. And I knew there was a real need for mental health care nurses, and so I thought, there's a need, and here's a funding stream, so we're going to put them together.
Okay,
So
that's cool. So, last thing I have for you is, what is the most bizarre thing that you think you've seen on the Senate floor in the Kansas House?
Well, aside from the former senator that comes dressed in in his Irish attire,
No.
kilt, and plays the bagpipes and serenades us for about 10 minutes. You know, we've actually had some really wonderful things that happen on the Senate floor, but probably the most bizarre is being on the floor from 10 in the morning and then working until 2 or 3 the next morning, working on debating legislation and voting on legislation. So we've had some long sessions, but it's about getting the work done.
Yeah, I
So.
bet it gets crazy. I get cranky after a couple hours of work. But thank you.
Needless to say, we get cranky too. So.
Yeah, but thank you very much for being on here with me. This has been Campus Talk, and we will see you next time.